Lyon, France, in the winter of 2011. On the southern outskirts of the city, there's a district known as Beaumont Lane. During the day, it looks like any other neighborhood, but at 8:30 p.m., the streets empty. The noise of the city vanishes, replaced by a heavy, unnatural silence. The locals avoid the abandoned Beaumont mansion. They claim on some nights, if the wind dies down, you can hear a feminine voice humming a melody from deep inside the ruins. In this part of Lyon, the legend is treated as a practical curfew. Parents bring their children inside early, and neighbors stop speaking to watch the shadows. No one tests the mansion's perimeter after dark. These stories create a boundary for the community, a line that keeps the neighborhood safe, until someone decides the rumors are just an old man's superstition. Earlier that afternoon, the local youth center was the opposite of silent. It was a pressure cooker of shouting matches and adolescent posturing. Ryan, Nick, and Blake were locked in an argument that was quickly spiraling toward a fight. They traded insults over the mansion, each trying to prove they were less afraid than the others. The shouting stopped the moment Simon Laurent entered. Simon was the local star athlete, a footballer who had played for the region's best teams. He carried an authority that made the younger boys immediately fall in line. Simon listened to the argument and offered a challenge. If they wanted the truth, they would go to the Beaumont house together at 9:15 p.m. and see what was really inside. With a leader like Simon present, the boys' fear of the legend was replaced by the fear of looking weak in front of their idol. At 9:15 p.m., the group climbed the mansion's stone wall. They pushed through thick weeds and thorny shrubs until they found a back door. A single strike with a broken brick was enough to snap the rusted lock. Inside, the upper floor was a graveyard of furniture and heavy dust. Most of the rooms were still locked, their interiors untouched for decades. To the boys, it looked like nothing more than a forgotten house. But then Blake noticed a single detail. In a room covered in layers of gray filth, there sat a wooden table. It was perfectly clean, as if it had been wiped down only minutes before they arrived. The group retreated to a cafe across the street to wait. This chart shows the reality of the next few hours. The temperature plummeted into the negatives, and as the cold became unbearable, the group began to fracture. By 1 a.m., the freezing wind had forced 3 of the boys to give up and go home. At 2:15 a.m., Samuel pointed to the mansion's northern window, claiming he saw a figure standing in the dark. Simon didn't see anything, but he refused to back down. He decided to re-enter the house alone to prove that the window was empty. By the time Simon stepped back through the door, the winter night had done its work. The cold and waiting had stripped away his support, leaving him isolated in the dark. Simon climbed the stairs again. The air inside felt even colder than the street. When he tried to use his flashlight, the beam flickered and died, leaving him to navigate by the faint light from the hallway. He followed a humming sound into the balcony room. Instead of a ruin, he found a space filled with a warm, soft glow. A woman sat at the clean table, her dark hair and pale skin illuminated by a small lamp. The air smelled of sweet perfume. Simon stammered an apology, thinking he'd found a squatter. She looked up and spoke softly. "Oh no, no thief would come here," she said. "Please, step inside." Simon's fear vanished, replaced by a strange sense of calm. She sat back and began to hum Ave Maria. The melody was beautiful, filling the room with a peace that made him forget the freezing house and broken locks. He sat on the edge of the bed, listening. The music and the warmth worked together. Within minutes, the athlete who had broken into the house to hunt for Bousts was sitting quietly, completely disarmed by the woman's voice. As she reached the end of the hymn, the notes began to shift. The melody became lower and more discordant, losing its sweetness and turning into a hollow, ancient sound. Simon watched as her skin began to bubble and melt. Her eyes clouded over, and half of her face became a mass of charred, blackened bone. The beautiful woman was gone, replaced by a figure that had been consumed by fire. She spoke of a romance the town wouldn't allow, and a mob that had beaten her lover to death before setting her house ablaze. She had spent decades in that room, reliving the moment the flames took her. Her motive was simple. The community had watched her burn and done nothing. Now, anyone who entered her space would experience the same agony she felt every night. At 3 a.m., the lantern on the table shattered. The oil ignited instantly, and the room was swallowed by a wall of fire. Outside, the remaining boys saw the windows glow orange and fled into the night. The haunting was a cycle of debt. Simon Laurent hadn't just walked into a house, he had walked into a memory that required a new victim to keep the fire burning. At 7:30 a.m., the fire department arrived at the charred remains of the mansion. Inside, they found the body of Simon Laurent, his athletic career ended by the very fire he had gone to disprove. The official investigation pointed to a gas leak or a stray cigarette, but the older residents of Beaumont Lane recognized the pattern. They remembered the girl who had died in that same room years before. The Beaumont mansion is gone now, replaced by a modern apartment building with central heating and bright electric lights. Yet the change in architecture hasn't changed the atmosphere. Residents in the new building still report a soft humming coming from the hallways on cold December nights. The house is gone, but the song of Ave Maria hasn't stopped.